The following program is rated GE. It is suitable for general family viewing.
France, a country where art, culture and diplomacy intertwine effortlessly. From the boulevards of Paris to the savannas of Nairobi, France's influence extends beyond borders through creativity, cooperation and shared ideals. From the Eiffel Tower to Mount Kenya, nearly 6,200 kilometers apart, France and Kenya enjoy a partnership built on innovation, youth, culture and mutual respect. Today on Balozi Speaks, My Country, My Story, we meet His Excellency Arnaud Suquet, the Ambassador of France to Kenya, to explore how France's global identity as a hub of culture and intellect is shaping its collaboration with Kenya and its youth, and to discover the personal stories behind the diplomat's journey. All right, Balozi Arnaud Suquet. Allow me to say karibu sana hapa.
Asante sana.
And then
mimi nimekaribisha kwa katika ubalozini wa Ufaransa.
Asante sana kutukaribisha hapa kwako. I'm told you have very decent Swahili.
Nimejaribu. Nimetia bidii.
Umetia bidii kweli? How long have you been in Kenya?
3 years. It's been 3 years, yeah.
Take us through your journey in diplomacy. I'm sure before Kenya there must have been other postings. How has the journey been and how did you end up in Kenya?
My professional journey in diplomacy has been about Africa. I mainly served in Africa, and I must say in East Africa mainly. So I served in some of the countries neighboring Kenya, Ethiopia, Sudan, and so I was very happy to come to Kenya because I used to come and vacation here in Kenya, especially during hardship time. So that's a place I wanted to come and live, and I'm very happy.
Okay. And I'm made to understand that your duty here is not just about Kenya, it goes beyond that.
Yes, I'm also ambassador to Somalia, but resident in Nairobi, and I'm also the permanent representative of France to the UN office here in Nairobi.
So if at all you've been in Kenya for the last 3 years, I'm sure there must have been some specific experiences that you could point out as a highlight. What has been your most eventful experience in Kenya?
I'll tell you a recent one that I particularly appreciated is I've been running in a conservancy together with a ranger and his rifle on his shoulder, and running through the wildlife and the animals. That has been a truly amazing experience. I think I will remember it for all my life.
Right. So is this a kind of experience you would advise anyone from France traveling to Kenya to ensure that they get to experience the same?
Yes, I will just say, the level of organization here is excellent. Just stretch a little bit before and after, but you don't get hurt. But otherwise, the system is in place and the landscape is breathtaking.
All right. What about cuisine? Because I know French cuisine is something different. Having been in Kenya, you must have experienced quite a lot. And we've seen you even online, sampling a few things. What kind of meal, unique Kenyan meal do you enjoy?
I will tell you what I particularly enjoy is a mixture of France and Kenya. So I will enjoy very much a nyama choma with kachumbari and a glass of French wine. Oh, yeah. I think it's a perfect marriage, and I encourage you to have it also.
The wine has to be there.
The wine has to be there to highlight the nyama choma, but it's a perfect match.
If we may flip the coin and you were to advise someone traveling from Kenya to France, what would you advise them? What kind of experience would you advise them to go for?
I think France is open to Kenyans, and I think we've seen an increased number of Kenyans wanting to go to France. Over the last year, I think we have 40% more visa application to come to France. So I think there's a drive to discover the French culture. I think France is the first worldwide destination for tourists, and I think Kenyans are truly attracted also by the French way of life, the art, the culture. And I'll say, you know, my only advice is just know Kidogo French. Masaidia Kidogo.
When it comes to language, because yes, as you said, knowledge in either language really helps. Like now you know Swahili. If we may compare most of the European languages, there's a great intake or uptake of the French language in Kenya. It's taught in schools. How much of that do you think has helped the kind of diplomacy that you're working on?
I think it's an untold story, frankly speaking, because I think the first foreign language that Kenyans learn is French. Kenyans speak English, they speak their vernacular language, they speak Swahili. And when it comes to learning another language, French is a natural choice because it's a language spoken by many, many people, including in some of your neighboring countries. So it's not only in France that French is spoken, but as DRC, Burundi, some parts of Rwanda. So the Francophone world is really neighboring you. And we see a drive for learning French language, which also bring some set of skills and employability. And we are very happy and excited by this program, whereby we also get young Kenyans to teach French pupils and students English in France, and in the meantime they master the command of French language. So that's a beautiful program of mobility exchange, whereby we benefit from the English language taught by young Kenyans, and also I think those young Kenyans are the best ambassadors of France when they come back to Kenya.
Tell us more about that, the mobility of young Kenyans to France and vice versa, if at all it happens. There are opportunities, because the biggest challenge, of course, here is unemployment. What kind of opportunities do young Kenyans have when it comes to the bilateral relations with France?
I was mentioning this program, I think, because it's featured also in the written press the other day, and you get some stories. I think the best stories are being told by the people, the Kenyans, that have benefited from that program. So we send around 150 young Kenyans, a cohort of 150 young Kenyans every year to teach English in French school, public schools. Some of them actually stay there for 1 or 2 years more. And there's a beautiful thing about Kenyans, I think, is this energy. You call it hustling. They're hustling their way through. And it's not about only teaching English. They manage to make this a profound, transformative experience. And you hear their story, they come back, they have ideas of, you know, entrepreneurship, education, skills. So I think it's a beautiful opportunity, because when they come back to Kenya, and they do, they truly transform. They have skills, they have French language, and they're truly, I think, capable of finding job opportunities and serving their local economy.
Let's now talk more about the French identity, matters culture, cuisine, education, architecture. How much of that do you think that Kenya gets to experience, or we do get an influence from France?
In terms of culture?
In terms of culture, cuisine?
Cuisine, I think what we try to do is collapse between French and Kenyan chefs. You know, I was recently on the balcony trying to master the art of cooking ugali with a roaming chef, and I made a commitment. I say, I'll bring you a French chef, and I think we'll try to do a collab, because I think cuisine as art is richer when we can mix and find common ground. I think everybody can bring something. So the whole idea of a cultural partnership is not as much as it's, you know, exchanging culture, it's also finding a new way of creating a common culture between France and Kenya. We've been doing that, and I think through different institutions that are well known to the Kenyan public. I would just want to mention the Alliance Française, the network of Alliance Française. And you know, we have Nairobi, obviously, but also we have one in Mombasa, we have one in Eldoret, and I'm very proud that we reopened the Alliance Française of Kisumu, which was, you know, closed for a certain time. So there's a network that go beyond Nairobi.
Tell us more about Alliance Française, because I think it's one of the biggest institutions that are associated with France and Kenya, and this has existed for a while. Was it the main intention to probably boost uptake of the language, or is it the arts? What was the main intention of having Alliance Française in Kenya?
I think it's both. It's a language, French language provider. So if you want to learn French, I think you can do it in various alliances I mentioned, not only in Nairobi, in Eldoret, in Kisumu, in Mombasa. Through COVID now we discover you can do it online, you can do it from the comfort of your house. And the numbers are increasing, as I told you. I think the number of Kenyans registering for French language is increasing every year. So that's one part. The second part is to be a platform for creatives, wherever they are, but mainly in Kenya. And I think the Alliance, the network of Alliance Française has been supporting performing arts here in Kenya since a long time. You won't find, I think, a renowned Kenyan artist who didn't say the story had to go with Alliance Française at one point. But lately, we through a program dubbed HE Stage, we supported the Kenyan performing arts in sort of getting to the professional stage, but also performing outside of Nairobi in the various big cities I was mentioning, Eldoret, Kisumu, and Mombasa.
And it's interesting that you've mentioned so many things that are associated with the youth, the young Kenyans. Let's take a short break. When we come back, Balozi will be telling us more about the youth agenda, specifically driven by France here in Kenya.
We've been doing also basketball together with the NBA in the schools, so bringing basketball practices in the schools.
Today we continue with our sit down with Balozi Arnaud Suquet of France here in Kenya. And Balozi, you were just to tell us more about the agenda that France has here in Kenya, especially for the youth, and what areas of influence do you feel that France is actually getting into here?
I think our whole partnership here in Kenya is geared towards investing in the future, investing in human capital, because I think that's the most sustainable way of going forward. So I think this whole space and field of education, skills, innovation, but also employability, to the very matter you were talking about, because as much as you want skills, you want those skills to be of interest, to be able to find opportunities, job opportunities, and build your life. I think that's what we're trying to do in partnership, obviously, with Kenyan institution, being vocational training or being academic institution. I'm particularly proud of the project we have with the University of Nairobi to, one, build a new science and engineering complex, a state-of-the-art, to be able to train and skills in partnership with the best engineering schools in France, you know, the engineers of tomorrow, for Kenya to industrialize, but industrialize better than we did in Europe. You know, we want, I think the green jobs have a potential to tap in that market, and we want to be a partner of choice of Kenya, bringing the best of our academia, with the best of academia in Kenya, but also bringing the industry in a very early stage, but we don't develop skills that are not fit for employment. So that's something that we've been doing.
Tell us more about that issue about climate sustainability and the green jobs that you've mentioned, because it is a fairly progressive, fairly new venture even for Kenyans. And what kind of ideas does France bring into that conversation here?
I would like first to say and commend Kenya for its climate policy. I think we need to remember that 90% of your energy is produced by renewable ways. So geothermal, hydro, solar, wind. So you've got the mix of all renewable energy. And I think partnering with such a country which has such a virtuous energy mix is something that we value. And I believe we can also learn from Kenya in terms of geothermal development. We don't have geothermal in France, but it's a very good way of producing power in a green way. So France has been investing in that field in partnership with various Kenyan institutions. I believe We're the first bilateral partner of Kenya in the field of energy, in all sectors, production, distribution, but also something that I think we feel it's important, it's getting energy to the people who don't have access to energy. So this whole idea of extending the grid or having mini-grids, autonomous mini-grid in very remote areas is something we've been involved. I myself visited Ndeda Island in Siaya country, where we in partnership with AFD and local authority, we build a small mini power plants serving power to the people of Ndeda who didn't have power before. And I will be going to Turkana together with my good friend, the ambassador of the European Union, to commission a new mini-grid project for Turkana.
Okay. It's interesting that you mentioned the European Union, and that's my next question now. Now that you operate under the umbrella of the European Union, how does that align with the specific goals that France had for Kenya and probably the region?
I think we had this conversation with the EU ambassador and other European colleagues, and we all agreed that investing in human capital is the most sustainable investment that we can collectively do. And so this whole sphere of education, vocational training, skills, employability, but also leveraging on technology is something that I think the EU feels strongly about its partnership with Kenya. And moving forward, I think we want to invest in the long term into that space. And we want also to bring our people together, because if you want to build people-to-people relationship, there's no better space than education.
Does working under the EU make your work easier as an ambassador, or does bringing together ideas from so many different other nations that you have to align with complicate your work in any way?
The EU is like a family. It's a large family. So we're under the same roof. Sometimes we disagree, sometimes we may have different views, but at the end of the day, we're a family. So we work as a family with our differences, but with our strength, our collective strength. And I think in Kenya, we have been doing that. I think I want to commend also the EU delegation for organizing various European ambassadors trip. We went to Homa Bay, we went to the coast, we went last year to Samburu to show a united front, because I think as much as we diverse, we also united.
Okay. Are there specific projects that now you engage in, but under the umbrella of the European Union in Kenya?
I think in this field of energy, you will always find France is working together with the EU. And I think because the EU, we all share this objective of green transition. As much as we invest in green transition here, we also invest for the world. Those are issues: protecting climate, enabling countries like Kenya to industrialize the green way, is something that also fits into our global European interest. So that's definitely a field we've been working with the EU.
Back to the issue of the youth and unemployment, that has been a challenge, but Kenya is trying to approach it in a different way, encouraging things like sports and the arts. Let's talk about sports a bit, because France is way ahead in matters football, basketball and all this, and I've seen that you also see that as a route of influence in Kenya. Tell us more about that, especially sports.
Yes, sports diplomacy is a big part of our intervention here in Kenya. I'll tell you why. Because I think France and Kenya are two sporting nations. We saw it during the Olympic Games in Paris in 2024. France managed to finish globally overall fifth in the ranking of medals. Kenyan, I think, was the first African country, I think 11th worldwide, and second in track, if I don't understand. So I think our country raised our color very high when it comes to sports. And that's something that binds our people together. And that's something we can learn from each other. I think there's center of excellence in Kenya. I don't need to mention long distance running, which is the top of the top, or la crème de la crème, as we say in French. And so we've been investing this space together with partners, and partners that are not necessarily government related. The city of Miramas in the south of France was generous enough to welcome the Kenyan Olympic delegation to acclimatize before the Games. And this partnership had been sustained. It's a sort of a heritage of the Olympic Games. So we've been embarked on a partnership with the county government of Elgeyo Marakwet to train 20 coaches, 10 female, 10 men, to have a professional training for coaches. And I just commissioned this project. We can see investment from the private sector, being, for example, Decathlon, investing in running academies, providing young runners of Kenya with a salary, but whatever they earn during races, they can get it back, but they have already a salary to focus only on performance sport. And we've been also using sport as a vector of education, inclusion, and gender parity. So we're also very proud of partnership we have been doing with community-based organizations such as Tear Up Angels, an organization that gathers, women runners and that aimed at fighting gender-based violence in the space of sport. So it's a very impactful. We've been doing also basketball together with the NBA in the schools, so bringing basketball practices in the schools, also having special program with children with disability. So I think sports really touches the hearts and minds of people.
It's interesting that football and France is huge when it comes to football, that you're not talking about football when it comes to Kenya. Why is that? Why is basketball getting a preference here?
No, football is actually, I know, during the last World Cup, I was hosting a few games here. And a lot of Kenyans were telling me they were cheering for the French team. So yes, football is also a field of an area of cooperation. I think France also is quite big in being able to organize major global sports events. I'm not talking only about practice of sport or professional, but the business of sports event. And as Kenya is organizing AFCON in 2027, we remain a possible partner, a potential partner for Kenya when it comes to this big sports event, and we can also contribute.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Ambassador, and I think that is one of the things to look forward to. But if you may point out, because you've only been here 3 years, and of course you're looking to be here longer, what is the one thing that you're looking forward to do that you've not done yet in Kenya, as we come to the close of this interview?
There's probably a few places I've not been in Kenya that I'd like to go, or places that I like that I've not been able to go back. So I look forward to being a guest in the Lamu Cultural Festival. I truly appreciate and value the strength of Swahili culture.
As a final word, have you learned any Swahili sayings? Do you know any methali or a wise saying in Swahili that you can leave us with?
Oh, I think there's an easy one. Pole pole ndio mwendo, haraka haraka haina baraka.
All right. Thank you so much, Balozi. Ambassador Arnaud Suquet.
Asante sana.
Asante. So we've seen that apart from investing heavily in opportunities for Kenyan youth, France has also been a great partner in matters climate sustainability, education, as well as sports diplomacy. We're now looking forward to the future of this great partnership to see what else it could birth. My name is Fred Indemuli.